So as Hamza Yusuf, or Useless as most people like to call him, and the rest of his pillock degenerate fucking MPs up in Scotland come out with this hate speech law, which he's already fallen foul of because the anti-white rhetoric that he posted within it has already got him reported under his own laws that he came up with. So as Paul Joseph Watson said, not very well thought out. Now, J.K. Rowling had looked to be as if she was going to fall foul of this, but it seems like the police have decided not to go ahead and prosecute because at the end of the day, she's telling the truth. And it seems like that's not the only person. Mundo Fraser is going to take legal action with the police because he made a comment going back last year, I believe. And the Tory politician compared identifying as non-binary to identifying as a cat. Well, he has a point. Let's look at it this way. If you think you can identify as a woman if you're a man, then surely you can identify as a Vauxhall Viva. In the same way that perhaps I could identify as a 21-year-old good-looking man, which I'm very clearly not. See, you can try to identify as anything you like, but the reality is you are what you are. Now, when your rotting corpse has been in the ground for some 2,000 years and there is nothing left of it except the bones, and somebody digs it up and says, we have the skeleton of a man or a woman, do you think they're going to take into your wants, your thoughts? Oh, well, this person I think identified as non-binary. I think this person identified as gender fluid. I think this person identified as... No, they're not. It'll be simple. It's either a man or a woman. That's what you were. That's what you started out as life. And that's what you'll die as. Regardless of any alterations that you make to your physical appearance, the reality is this. You are what you are. Now, many people will engage you in your said beliefs. I would call it even delusions. Now, most people usually get treated for it. Some people don't. Some people have the money and the backing to go through with whatever it is they believe themselves to be. And after the operation, an incredibly small proportion of people actually believe they did the right thing. The rest of them don't. The rest of them also end up on medication for the rest of their life. So that's another great reason to push them through. And many people after the operation commit suicide. So did we do them a justice or in service? Or disservice, I should say. See, many of you would think that people like me who are calling these people what they are, okay, are doing it purely because they hate them. No, we don't. As a human being, you owe it to somebody to be honest with them and straight with them and tell them the reality of which they're in. Because lying to people is doing them a disservice. By lying to them, you are carrying on this lunacy. You are not helping their mental state, okay? If you really, truly cared about these people, what you would actually do is give them the help that they need. And I mean the real help, not the go through with it and give them all the operation because, hey. Now, going back to this hate speech law, this isn't going to be for the use of, say, for instance, having a go at well-known publicists about their beliefs on trans women or trans whatever. No, this is actually going to be about shutting up little people. So if they go after the really big people like J.K. Rowling, okay, it would be more detrimental, although I didn't think that there could be more detriment to this than there is at the moment, but I'm sure it wouldn't do them any good. But the idea being is for the little people like you and me who come out and say something obvious about, say, for instance, Islam or Judaism or Christianity or any other religion for that matter, or come out and actually talk about immigration and the negativity that that has, or say, for instance, different ethnic groups and their involvement within criminality as percentage to the capture of the people within the country. You know, start pointing out obvious facts which don't lean towards the latest thing. No, this is what this entire thing will be about, and it's going to go after people within Scotland. But it's not just people within Scotland. Unfortunately, other people didn't point this out, that basically they're looking to be able to go into other countries and pluck out people who have said that a man is a man and will never be anything else but a man, same as a woman is a woman that will never be anything else but a woman. The only anomaly there will be something that's happened at birth, and that is a completely different story. And that's nature, okay? Now, in the same way that a bloke shouldn't go into a woman's toilet any more than a woman should go into a bloke's toilet, although, as I remember back in the days of working on the doors, women got sick and tired of queuing up and used to pile into the bloke's toilet. So don't worry us. But that was back in the days when they'd had a skin full and couldn't give a shit. And the blokes are just like, whatever. Reality is reality. And the one thing that this system has tried to do over the years is to distort people's version of reality. To tell you that what your eyes are seeing is not actually the truth. And it's not your fault for being, I don't know, deceived by your eyes or your ears or that other thing that many people don't seem to have these days, which is common sense. Nope. They want to do away with that. But nowadays, it's getting to the state where they're pushing so much stupidity that people are pushing back on them. And that is why people like me can't do things like live stream anymore. Because we get far more views per live stream than the mainstream. And even the opposition to the mainstream, which would be things like GB News. Many is the time that I'll just put up a random live stream on my 13,100 subscriber channel and beat them by a long way. Why? Because I talk like this. I tell you what you deep down already know, but wanted somebody else to say because you thought you were going mad, because you can see it, but you think everybody around you can't. Truth is, they can. 99% of the people around you don't believe the bullshit. And even though some will say it, they don't believe what they're saying either. It's pure cowardice. Many people out there are cowards. Many people out there, at the same time as being a coward, are a bully. I know that sounds a bit difficult, but let me go into that. They're too scared of the system. They don't want to fall foul of the bigger group. They don't want to lose their house, their job, etc. So they act on behalf of the evil thing and bully you, which is the smaller group, because they have more people that they think behind them going to back them up. And this is where their cowardice comes in. It wasn't the school bully that put you down was going to be the biggest problem. It was his cowardly underlings that were going to put the boot into you when you were on the floor. Or is that how it used to be when we were at school? And it isn't too far from the truth now. When you look to some of these kind of places like London or Birmingham or whatever, where an adult has been beaten to the deck, right, and the school kids are putting the boot into her on the floor, school kids of a different ethnicity, I might add. The realities are this. What you see with your eyes is what you see. It's no illusion, okay? It is the fact. And when you look at some mess in front of you, which is pretending to be a different gender, and you can clearly see that it's not, don't fall for it, because it isn't. The common sense is this. You need, if you haven't got common sense, to understand what common sense is, okay? Look into common sense and try and gain some, all right? Common sense may be the one thing that saves you in the future. Now, old folk like me have it, which is why they're going to try and shut us up, because we could still teach the youth of today about common sense, but that would also take discipline, something that they've unfortunately missed, but not all the time is it the fault of the parents. Don't forget, when we were kids, they brought out this thing called Childline, okay? And this was pushed by all the legacy darlings at the time, all the people that turned out later on to be incredibly shady and have large either slurs brought about them or died, and after they died, all the truth came out. Yes, we're talking about the Jimmy Saviles, the guy from It's a Knockout. We're talking about Esther Ranson and all the other people like Gary Glitter that used to show up on these things, pushing about how they wanted to save the children from abuse from their kids when all the time they were doing it themselves. Now, for Esther Ranson, it's alleged. But for the others... But the truth is this. After they took away the ability to discipline our kids started to turn feral. And if you even thought about disciplining your kids, they'd raise the phone. I tried that shit once with my parents. My dad said, call the fuckers. I'll let them take you. We'll be shot of you. And I was like, right, that's clearly not going to work. And many parents were the same. As soon as the kids said, I'll call Childline, they picked the fucking phone number up and said, call them. They'll take you away, we'll be fine, and you'll go live in care. Now, there were a couple of occasions, I dare say, where a kid probably was being abused, and that shouldn't have happened. But generally speaking, I think Childline was negative. And I think that what it did was it stopped people being able to discipline their kids. All right? But that's just my personal beliefs. We're heading into really dark times. I'm sorry to say it, but it's kind of obvious and you can see it for yourself. And we really need to stop playing their game anymore. Because their game, if we play along with it, and you're worried about being anti-anything, then you're going to be having your mouth shut. Wouldn't you obviously look around as well while you're there? You can see people being able to say all sorts of things about us. But that's fine. But you say anything about them, and that's not fine. Now, if you can't see a problem in that, you've been brainwashed. Probably not your fault, but you have, right? If anti-whiteness isn't a problem, but Islam or anti-Judaism or anti-immigration or anti-trans or anti-anything else, if all of those people could be protected but you can't, then you have to see there is an active war against you if you're the white person. Now, there's a lot of other people of colour, by the way, out there, which can see it themselves. Danny Roscoe, he's a person that can see it a mile off and talks about it. Say, for instance, Black Lives Matter. What no other lives did? If Black lives really matter, you wouldn't have knife-on-knife crime with each other. You wouldn't have gun-on-gun crime with each other. You wouldn't be predominantly more likely to be murdered by, America, a black person, you were a white person. Look how many of the population in the American prisons are black, and then look at the percentage of the population within America. Now, they'll say it's because of the way that we've been treated, but you don't believe any of that. Watch what happens when, say, for instance, large groups of black people congregate together in some of these places in America. Look what happens. Okay? It's all recorded. How you gonna try and break that one down? Oh, I'm just institutionally racist because what I'm not seeing is them expressing themselves as they tear down, say, a shopping mall and go and loot the fucking place. I'm not falling for any of that shit, and nor should you. Now, another thing, if you've come this far and you're watching this, please subscribe to my other channel, which is Rev on a Rant. I've got 4, actually. The links are in the description. But YouTube have told me, because of this kind of honesty that I do on my call-ins, when you actually call in and have your say, that I'll never be able to live stream again on this channel that I'm coming to you on at the moment. So we live stream on my small channel. And as I say, we beat the mainstream most of the time, actually. Okay? When I go out, the mainstream over here, that is. And, well, you come along, join in, comment as well, because the comments make up a lot of it, and maybe call in and have your say, and you'll see why. Anyway, look, thanks for watching and standing by me. And if you're a subscriber, thank you. I appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And as I say, pop over to Rev on a Rant and subscribe to there. You won't regret it. If you like the content I'm making and you want to support my work, here's a few links in the description, but only if you can afford it. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next one.